Let's just start with some breathing. Let's split it into the two types of breathing, the chest breathing and the belly breathing. So first, let's try the chest breathing. So when you're breathing from the chest, which you would do if you were running, for example, you need to get a lot of air in. So you expand your chest, you open the chest. So you're having to do muscular effort to open the chest, pull air in, and then you just relax that and the air will come out. So the work phase is the breathing in phase. So I suck the air in, chest fills, my back arches back a little bit, and then I just relax that and that air will come back out. Breathing in and breathing out. I want to feel it as a work phase followed by a relaxation phase. So I work to pull the air in. Then I just relax and it springs back to like a neutral, normal state. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, out. We want to feel the point where the two phases meet. So I'm breathing in. Just feel that point where I just relax that and it springs back. And now we try the belly breathing. So this is the one that one tends to use, if you're sort of not having to get a lot of oxygen in. So now I pull my belly in to breathe out. So I pull my belly in, I bow the back a little bit and the hands come in. So this is the work phase now. Then I just relax that and some air will just suck in. Then I breathe out, pull the belly in and breathe in, but simply by relaxing that. pulling the belly in, so working, and then relaxing, and it will naturally spring back. Pull the belly in and return. This one is more difficult. So in a way, it's counterintuitive. So I'm working to empty, and then I just relax and let the air come in. And then we just combine those two. So one followed by the other. So chest breathing, I'm working to open, I pull the air in, and then I relax that. And now I pull my belly in, working, all the air comes out, then I relax that and some air comes in. And then I work to pull more air in, and relax. And then I work to get all the air out, and then I relax. So you can see that complete sequence. It's like a figure of eight. Yeah, so now let's try the same thing, but just tracing the figure of eight with the hands. So I breathe in, and then I let that out. And then I really breathe out, pulling the belly in. And then I let some air in. Really suck the air in. Let it out. And then really squeeze all the air out. And let it in. Let's just try a couple of those, so without me speaking. So. And then let's try just a couple with the other hand. So what we want to do is just really appreciate the difference between doing something actively, which means with spirit, and just doing something passively. The first bit here, me breathing in, expanding here, I have to work to do that. So it requires spirit. So I breathe in, But now this out phase just requires me to relax. So there's no spirit involved in that breathing out. But now when I really breathe out and pull my belly in, again, that's a work phase. So that requires spirit. But then breathing in here is just a relaxation. The air will come in. That doesn't require spirit. So here there's like an intensity. And then I relax that. And then again, there's an intensity. And I relax that. Spirit, no spirit. Spirit, no spirit. And now let's just try doing the figure of 8 exercise. Now, just to appreciate just how complex this is, because we've got the two things happening. What we've just been doing is happening in one side of the body, but out of phase in the other side of the body. So when we split it all up the way we've just done, it appears quite labored and complex. So we want to feel it's actually just so totally natural. So going down, so it's passing over the top of the figure 8 or underneath the figure of 8. That's where the spirited phase changes into the non-spirited phase. So here there's spirit, and then that relaxes. And now there's spirit, and then that relaxes. So going towards the center, so as the hands come towards each other, that's the relaxation phase. As the hands pass each other and get to their top or bottom, that's the spirited phase. So I want to feel this, and then. If we were having to work, really quite hard, so imagine, we're inside a vat of syrup or something that's thick and viscous. So really having to work to get the arms to pass along these pathways. And it would all happen naturally. So what they always say in Tai Chi, the reason people get it wrong is not because it's too difficult, but because it's too easy. So they end up not using the correct energies. It's like a car going up a hill. Imagine the effort it has to make to get to the top of the hill. But then once it gets to the top, it can just coast down the other side. Hands behind just to get the chest open. Again, just breathe into it. Let the head start moving a little. I remember when we do these exercises, when you do something that you've done loads of times before, it's a bit like an old friend. There's real familiarity, but we'd like it to feel fresh. So there's also a sense that you're doing it for the first time. And now let's just try the reaching. Just feel the quality of the movement. An image that John used to use often. He used to talk about the movement of molten rock. You know, the way lava flows, it almost seems to roll over itself. And so it sort of creeps. So not the heat, but the movement, the quality of the movement is almost like there's a skin that's endlessly breaking and allowing the contents to flow out, like an amoeba. So it just can't go quickly. And all of these things you do, they're all basically A, B, A, B, A, B. And so basically it's just a figure of eight. I mean, you can think of this as the figure of eight. And so it's got that same quality of here, I having to make a real effort to get as far as I can. And then I just relax that and it will naturally spring back, like the breathing. So it's elastic. The elastic is being stretched and it will naturally coil up again. And then just going up and down, stretch, and then it comes back. Feel that point, the point of return. I want the return to be natural, a natural consequence of the elasticity of my body. So to get that extra centimeter, enough to spring it back, something in me has to let go. I have to let go at that point, and then it will spring back. Then just back to prayer. It's like the molten rock, you know, just before there's enough heat or enough internal pressure to make the skin break and the contents to flow out. That's that equilibrium point that we're trying to reach all the time. So I'm relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. So right, we call it the point of failure. I'm trying to get as close as I can to the point. The failure is really the point where it starts moving. I'm just trying to get to that point where you're not sure if it's moving or if it's still. Seeking movement in stillness. Now let's just try gathering gravity. So the down, just gathering the down through my body. But my arms are reaching out and gathering as many of these descending lines and clutching them into my spine. I feel that point at the sacrum where it has to split across into the hips in order to go down the legs. That's the difficult point. Here it gathers into the spine, gets down to the sacrum, and then something in me has to release to let it pop across. That point where the one becomes two, the one spine becomes the two hips. Something in me has to shake to split the one into the two and get it to branch. It's the two circles. I'm feeling both sides individually. I'm reaching out and I'm gathering something in. And now just going side to side and just feeling it's the same thing. I'm just now doing it with the legs more. So I'm reaching out with the leg and I'm gathering that piece of ground. Reaching out with the leg and gathering the ground. So I'm making a circle. Again, it's all figures of eight. It's all two loops joined together. I send my mind goes out, and slowly my weight gets drawn along. Now, this is the spirit as scout. The spirit is venturing out, and then the body slowly gets the courage to follow. Bring it back to riding horse. I just reconnect with gravity, really, with the background sinking. Feel the two, the down and the up. So we concentrate on the sinking so much because it's the one that we don't normally. So normally we're thrusting away from the ground, we're walking. And so we're bounding, we're bouncing up all the time. So we're well used to that. But now just feel that, ooh, it's flowing down. And then within that, you can feel this almost like something is growing up my legs and coming up until it gets to the top of the head. And that's the energy of the earth, or we identify it as that. And they're both there. And obviously they're balanced, otherwise I'd be moving in one of the directions. And now it's just figure of eight around the hips. So my weight moves and follows a figure of eight, turning here, looping around this foot, turning here, looping around this. feeling my body, my weight. That's the aspect of my body that I'm most conscious of, if you like. My gravitational center. So when my mind is with the weight, with my body as a massive entity, then it sort of feels labored and it feels like it's slowing down all the time. What it would like to do is just come to a halt. But it doesn't, because I'm also using my spirit. And that's what we want to start feeling now. So as the weight is going around this foot, the spirit is already expressing here in order to pull me back. So there's two figure of eights going on, really. There's the one, which is the figure of eight of my central gravity, which is the one we've been working on. But then my spirit is ahead of that all the time. So my spirit is already here, pulling. So as my weight is going around this foot, the spirit is already going around this foot. So now I've just switched my mind, and now my mind is with the movement rather than with the body, with the heavy body. So this is where the spirit is that's trying to pull me, and then this is where the spirit is. Spirit is just activity, really. Spirit is the ingredient that brings something alive. It's the thing that sparks the movement. It's nothing complicated or esoteric. And now let's just try stepping, because this is in a sense where we feel it clearest. Because when we're stepping, you can concentrate on the weight. So my weight is here, and then my weight is here, and then my weight is here. So let's try it like this. Just like your figure of eighting again, flops into this foot, and then it comes into this foot, and then into this foot. And now the same thing, but now instead of concentrating on the moving body, concentrate on the moving foot. So I bring the weight into this foot. Now this foot comes off the ground and then it steps and that pulls me into it. So now I'm with the moving foot. So it's a bit like, you know, those images of the big, massive, long oil tanker being pulled by a tiny tug. The tug is a bit like the spirit, and it's leading, it's pulling the body. So my body is just lumbering from leg to leg, but the real activity is actually in the leg that's coming off the ground and extending out into the unknown. My attention is now with the spirit, with the foot that's moving, with the movement within the empty side. Feel the feet. One foot is really stable, sucking at the ground to try and stay on it like a limpet. And the other one is really active and free. And then a bit with the other foot. So first, the body. I sink into the leg. I step. And then I move my weight across. And then I move my weight back. It's like walking with a cup of tea in your hand. You fill the cup just a little bit too much. So you have to be really careful to make sure it doesn't tip. So I have part of my mind is just watching the level of the cup all the time to make sure it's not going to spill. Another part of my mind is obviously with this well-oiled, well-functioning body that's making all of these tiny adjustments all the time in order to keep that cup stable and as though stationary. It's not moving within itself, it's being moved. And the agent of movement is the spirit. Concentrating more on the movement, on the foot that's going to come off the ground and move. And then, of course, my spirit has to come into this foot to suck me back. It's just awareness, really. That's all we're working on all the time. It's like, walking with the cup of tea. If it was dark and you couldn't actually see the tea in the cup, you could still move it without spilling it because you have proprioception, you have awareness of that cup through an awareness of your own body. You don't have to be visually aware of it. And that's the feeling all the time. Especially in Tai Chi. With the spirit, with the activity, and the activity, remember, is always in the empty foot. The full foot can't move because it's full of weight. And so the activity, the movement is going to be in the other side. Whoa, and then this one fills, so the movement's here. Let's just bring it back to gravity. And now put the weight into the foot and I just pour down it like I'm pouring a cup of tea. Pour into the leg. And then the other one will just want to come up. If you're really single weighted, if you've really sank into one side of the body, then the other side will want to come up. That's natural. And it's the same if you're working with another person. So often, I'd work with John and he'd be standing in front of me. And sometimes he could just do like a trick. He could just sink down with it himself without really moving. but I just feel the energy brimming up me, and I'll just be coming onto my toes. Because when it goes down one, it will come up the other, because any system is always trying to remain in equilibrium. So it's true for the body, but it's also true for a system that includes two people working together. So I'm sinking down this leg, and this is just light, almost like it's evaporating. And then again, I circle around the foot, I sink into it. And this one comes up. And again, I just want to feel the two aspects, really, the material, which is like the sort of heavy, the matter, the sense of sinking, the gravity. So gravity only really affects matter. And I want to feel the ethereal, the spiritual, which is nothing to do with the matter. So I'm sinking down here physically, but something is rising here. And that's the levity, and it's the lightness, not just within you, but within your heart. So something is swelling and opening. And that's expressed in a smile. Well, the other day, I was just walking along in Tel Aviv, and there's a religious woman with a pushchair. She just passed me, and the kid in the pushchair just looked up at me and smiled. And I thought, fuck, because that smile just lodged here. And it was there for the rest of the day. And I couldn't help smiling every time I thought of it, And that's the thing, a smile is a gift. So when you smile, you're giving a gift, not just to the world, but also to yourself, So this is, remember the Teletubbies? And the sun was a baby's face, smiling face. One more. Reach out. That is an act of spirit, something, ooh. And as I come into it, I circle around it. I don't just plonk my weight into it heavily. I'm subtle. I go around the circumference so that the inside can remain soft and tender and inviting. And then that has this feeling of sucking something up from the ground. And now let's just try a little bit of this one. And so here we're just trying to introduce a sort of wobble. Almost like the two sides are sort of tipping over each other. It's almost like drunken movement. It's like the drunk. They're really focusing on this sobriety test that they're trying to accomplish, you know, one foot in front of the other or whatever. And yet they're giggling uncontrollably at the same time. So there's those two aspects all the time, the serious and the light, you know, the gravity and the levity. And our job is just to equilibrate those two all the time. So allow them to separate out so that they can both work almost independently, and then bring them together so that they can play. So when you feel yourself getting too serious and a bit heavy, and your knees are tending to grind and you're getting a bit down, then you just cheer up. We just need to be masters of our mood. And when it's all getting a bit too silly, then you just bring it back and concentrate on the gravity. And then just and then just finishing. So standing. The legs as straight as they ever get, but never locked straight. A sense that I could always just melt down. So bending and straightening at the same time. Bending with the gravity and straightening with the levity.